Thank you very much. I don't know what happens. What's happening? Okay, I'm Roberto Mazzini. I was saying I'm member of Jolly Cooperative. That is a very small organization, 10 of people, more or less. We are working as association first and then as a cooperative since 30 years to fight against different kinds of oppression. So the small organization, I like to say that is tends to be a very democratic or horizontal and organization that has the task, not the task, the characteristic to use some approach, some methods like Theatre of the Oppressed and Paulo Freire's approach, and also other approaches. So briefly, I try to show using some slides what is Theatre of the Oppressed. It's a basic information about this content, just for people that don't know what is it. I hope you are not getting bored because of my presentation, for the people that who already knows. So I try to share now the presentation. Let's see if it works. Okay. Can you see anything?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see the slides? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So this is Augusto Boal, the creator of Theatre of the Oppressed method. This is a short story about him. He was born in Brazil, of course, and then became director of Arena Theatre, not theater. And then he was working under the dictatorship in Brazil from 64 until 83, and was arrested, tortured, and expelled to Argentina. And he went around all over the world, spreading off this method in different countries, creating different organizations and people trained in this method. He dies in 2009. This is the tree of Theatre of the Oppressed. Is a representation of what can be imagined as Theatre of the Oppressed. So it's a tree that means a living method, not something that is structured once forever, but it's developing in different branches. So its roots are the sound, the image, the word. So that is the three main languages that have been are used in Theatre of the Oppressed and theatre in general. But the ground is nourished by ethics and politics. Ethics and politics means to stand against oppression, to stand on the side of people and groups oppressed, and to try to change the situation by means of different tools. The tools are, as you are seeing, newspaper theater, forum theater, image theater, invisible, rainbow of desire, legislative theater, and direct actions. So the principal aims of Theatre of the Oppressed are three: the analysis and transformation of the world, the oppressive world. No? Analysis is something intellectual, and transformation is something practical, no? Something that has to do with the change of society, the change within the groups, the change within the relationship between groups, and so on. The second one is giving the people back the means of theatrical production, is resonating as a Marxist sentence. Giving back to people means that not only actors and directors can be owners of theater, but every people, every kind of groups, an individual can practice theater, because theater is the essence, in his view, of human being. And the last, but not the least, is transforming spectator into spectator. No? This is the idea, the challenge, the promise of Theatre of the Oppressed, to change the role of the passive spectator into spectator as a metaphor of the change that is needed in society, no? To change from the position of spectator of events that is affecting us to protagonists, to people that want to change the event, to transform, to lead, no, the transformation. The goals, in other words, can be the last goal of all the tools. No? These are tools, no? Techniques. But the aim is not to stop at the technique level, but to bring people, the oppressed groups, to make direct action, collective, concrete, social action. Collective means based on solidarity. No? Concrete means effective. Social means into society, produced into society. And action means action. So it's this method is against the catharsis, no? Against the kind of arts or theater that bring people to feel better, but within the workshop, within the setting, the theater setting. But the idea, the promise, the challenge is to create the dynamization, no? To give people a space, to give a floor in the laboratory, in the theater space, in the theater setting, in order to dynamize, to activate the will to change society. Key concept of this one, not ideological, but political theater. Not ideological is very important issue because means is connected with the second point, maieutic. That means that this theater, differently from other kind of political theaters, is not bringing an idea of society, is not bringing an idea of solutions to the oppressed people. This is not a theater that wants to solve the problem for the people, but solve the problem together with people. So that means to stand together beside of oppressed people, but not bringing them to a particular ideological point of view. Oppression as monologue and dialogue as liberation. Oppression is seen as a monologue, as an imposition of a group of oppressors, no, against other groups of oppressed. The body thinks means that in the view of Augusto Boal, the body is the thinking is not abstract, is not detached from the body, but is he has a kind of holistic vision of the human being. So an integration between different levels, no? The intellectual level, the emotional level, and the body level. Double globality, aesthetic space, okay, other concepts, key concepts in this method. Key roles are spectator, as I said, and joker. Joker is the facilitator, or in other words, difficultator, the person that is managing the session with the group, between the session that happens between the actors, the group of press that is showing a situation, an oppressive situation, and the audience. This ideally is the same in the same conditions of the group showing the performance. So the joker is this role, maieutic, that ask, problematizing the situation on the stage and asking the intervention from the audience on the stage in order to solve the problem, to transform the reality metaphorized by the theater. Techniques, as you've seen, there is a list of techniques. I don't explain them because it's too long, but they were created by Augusto Boal, not in his narrow box office, but in the practice, no? Facing different challenges, he developed different techniques. So, for instance, just one, invisible theater was created. Oh, sorry. Was created in Argentina when he was exiled after the arrest in Brazil, and because it was very dangerous for him to still doing political theater in this sense, he invented this form, reinvented because it was already used during the Republic of Weimar in Germany. he invented this tool and called that invisible theater, something invisible to people, so the audience is not aware about what's happening. You know, the spectators believe that it's a true act, true action in real society, and they react in different ways depending on the opinions. So invisible theater was created for a very strict reason, for the danger to do political theater clearly. And then the uses and fields are very different. Social field, of course, with psychiatric patients, people at risk, community, poor communities, and so on. We can use also this theater in the health area, training by doing training for operators, etc. And in education to prevent risky behavior, to train teachers and parents and so on. And okay, and also for political purposes, of course. This is a very, very narrow and poor list of the groups that are doing theater of the oppressed in the world. Is just an overview to see how large is the extension of this method no, in all continents and several countries. And this group are the ones that we know most, but of course there are other ones that we don't know so much. And finally, to end this presentation, here is 4 sentences from Boal that I like to share with you. The body thinks, I already explained. The second, everyone can make theater, even not event, sorry, even actors. It's possible to make theater everywhere, even in theater. Just not to underline how revolutionary was the approach of Augusto Boal. No? To be a citizen is not to be part of a society, but to transform it. That was a discourse that he did the year when he died in the celebration of the worldwide year of theater. And then the last one was in Brazilian, is ter coragem de ser feliz, have the courage to be happy. That was a slogan used in the political campaign when he was elected councillor in the Rio de Janeiro municipality and started another adventure called legislative theater, creating laws by asking, by a kind of mechanism to listen to the poor and oppressed groups and asking them to propose solutions that he brought to the municipality in order to be discussed and sometimes also approved. So this is in short, very short, for people that doesn't know theater of the oppressed, the method. I thank you, and I pass the speech to Giulia for the next step.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Roberto. It was very short, few minutes, what Theater of the Oppressed is. Of course, we can share a translation in Italian of the slide so as to have to read them. And I think that we can, I'd like to ask to Ahmed Toubazi. Ahmed is a Palestinian actor, director, and educator from the Jenin refugees camp. His experience, what was and what is Theater of the Oppressed for you, and what are you doing now also? If you can tell something about you.
First of all, thank you for having me. You know, as an actor, the first thing I was hearing about Theater of Oppressed, but I want to be honest, because sometimes I lost what is this method about and for what. And I think because many actors do Theater of Oppressed because it looks romantic, it looks nice, but most of the actors, most of the groups they do not come from an experience why this form being invented. And for me, this is very important because many actors travel all over the world to have a new workshops, to look for methods, how you do theater, how you do political theater, and they forget what they have to start from. And I think that's a very important because also theater of Brest, sometimes it feels like it's like nice, it's like become something very cool to perform theater of Brest, that you understand politics as an actor or actresses. And I think that's the most important for this kind of form, that actors or performers, they have the experience of this kind of, I don't call it conflict, but war zones, or why theater being invented in somehow. And I think we lost the importance of art and theater. We lost why we're doing theater and art. And for sure, Hollywood, the cinemas, the movies, the big theaters, operas, national theaters, they affected this kind of very important thing in our life, which is art and theater, came to change, came to ask questions, to address issues, to fight. And when I go by myself, look at the history of theater, I found out that every theater or method come from a difficult situation to express about people, about cases, about issues, to clash with other sides of the community. And for me also, which is kind of very important for me to enter this kind of subject, because I think we forget that even the theater of Brest, it came from a very difficult time, censorship, dictatorship, and was people was thirsty to find a way that they can fight back, address issues without getting in the same technique or circle of the oppressors. And for me, that was the most important, my experience in Palestine through the last 4 or 5 years. Under all of these invasions, attacks, I was feeling so angry. I was feeling I want to do something. I want to react. But the idea is I will not do what the oppressor want me to do, because I want to fight in a different way. I want to find a way to express myself, not repeating the way of the oppressor want me to react, which is violent, crazy, and being like a terrorist, for example, because that's what they want you to act, to be terrorist. And for sure, they don't want us to use these beautiful ways to express, to fight. And, you know, as a Palestinian, grow up in Jenin camp, first intifada, live second intifada. Now I'm living third intifada. I always was obsessed. How can I present myself to the world in the right way? And for me, that's what is resistance. Resistance is not to give up for the oppressor technique and you react in the way they want you to react. And for me, I believe that art and theater and culture is the most important way to resist and fight back. So for me, I was dreaming how I can reach the world, how I can talk to the world a language that they understand. I'm talking about before 7th of October, because before 7th of October, all the Palestinian artists wasn't giving a freedom to talk about themselves. We didn't have a big chance to present our work. We were censored, and you know that the Zionist movement was controlling most of the theaters, festivals, whatever. And for us was really very important how we can present ourselves as a Palestinian artist. You know, before art, I was looking to fight, demonstrate, being angry, and always they're telling me, you are sick, you need therapy, you need hospital. But when I understood that how art and theater can bring you in a different form from the people, now people call me artist, they pay my ticket, they come to the show and they listen to me 1 hour and a half, is because I turned and I understood how to use theater to fight and to resist. And for me, sorry, I'm not doing art. I'm not doing a specific way of art. I believe I am resisting through theater and art. I want to fight. I want to embarrass. I want to tell my story as long as I can. The point, it's not to die. The point to stay alive as long as you can, and you tell your story. And that's what I got. I lost my old friends in the first intifada, second intifada. And for me, that was the most important point when I was in prison. I got 4 years in prison, and I was young, full of energy, and I didn't know what to do. I see many prisoners get depressed. Many prisoners have psychology problems. And then I said, okay, Tobasi, maybe we start to do theater in the prison. I want to cheer up these people. And then we start to make events in the prison. And, you know, it's become a monthly and weekly event each Friday or each Thursday or each prison leave. From the prison, we make a party to say bye-bye. And after that, someone filmed the sketch, and we try to sneak it out because we are not allowed to have families visiting us or visitors. So we try to sneak out the SIM card to Gaza. And in Gaza, in that time, they made a CD to bring it back to prison, to send it to West Bank, because there is no connection between West Bank and Gaza. So the way was to send in the CD inside the prison, and next visit, we send it to West Bank so people can see us, our families, see us in prison, that we are happy, we're living a good life. And in the way inside, the soldiers catch the CD, and they brought the CD to the warden, and the warden saw the CD, and he was crazy. Is this in my prison? You know, we have party, costume, we do songs, we do some sketches. And, you know, in the night, all these soldiers came to look for this phone, and it was hundreds of soldiers looking for this sketch, who made the sketch, who made the film. And in that moment, I felt victory. I felt victory, like I spent my time to fight the Israelis, the Zionists. I never felt this victory. And in that moment, I was in shock, all this drama, because a little sketch. And for me, that was the point, made me believe in the power of art and power of culture. Today, I think, as you see in the world, after all this, what is happening in Gaza and the genocide, that the Palestinian artist, the Palestinian cause being well known by poetry, actors, theaters, writers. And for me, we should bring back the importance for art and theater. Is not something romantic. It's not something cool. It's dangerous. Theater should be dangerous. Theater is very dangerous. If you feel comfortable, if you feel cool in what you do, I think you should think about it again, because art come to put questions marks, to highlight a specific issues in the community. And we need to bring back the value of community work, because after all these years, we start to deal with community work as something not important or something a low profile. But I believe the community work is the most important thing, and we should bring the value of it, that it should be important. And most important is to create this kind of tools for young people to use art and theater to resist, to fight, and to express. Today, we call a new group, we made it Artist on the Front Line, because I believe artist is the most important. They are the censor of the community, they are the censor of the culture, and they are the ones who understand to address issues in the community to find solution. Maybe to work together with different people to ask the question so people can think about it. So yes, that's where I come from. I think theater can kill you, and that's what you expect. For me, if I feel so comfortable, I think there is some issue and problem. But with theater, it gave me the voice to fight and not be shy of who I am, where I come from, and it gives me a very strong tool to present myself and my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you very much. I would like to ask you, if you can share with us just an image, because the first time I met Theater of the Oppressed, I was in Jenin. So, and I said to myself, okay, what they are doing, I didn't speak Arabic, so I really didn't understand what was going on. So if you can just share with us an image of Jenin, of in which way you organize the session with the people, in which way, what, if you can give just an image.
You know, it's like the last 2 years, for me, it's very important when young people, young actors come to study theater or to work with us, we tell them, welcome to the revolution. That's first. And second, we tell them, welcome to suicide in a nice, beautiful way. Because to be an artist, that's mean you're gonna be in danger. It's not a lot of money, and we're gonna be accused in a different way. And for me, if our relation to the community in Jenin camp or in Jenin, it's love and war. When we do something they like, they love us. When we do something about freedom, individual freedom, ask about rights, challenge the community, for sure they hate us. So imagine that you rehearse and you have a shooting bullets around the theater. Sometimes we have invasions, sometimes martyrs, bus the places where we rehearse. And for me, sometimes we have people who come from, you know, Europe to collaborate with us, and they don't believe that the situation we work in is Jenin camp, one of the most attacked place on earth, and every day there is new martyrs, invasions, drones, and is always about to tell you as a Palestinian, as a human, you don't have dreams in the future. You're going to be under occupation and you're not allowed to dream and change your reality. And I think that is what is all about between the oppressor and the people who fight for freedom. It's all about what you believe. And for me, I believed in theater, and I believe, as you know, Giuliano Merkhamis, our founder, he was talking about the stage is my AK-47. And that's when I understood I'm on the stage, I'm a fighter. So imagine you do art and theater in this kind of situation, because always you doubt, it's really we doing the right way. It's really theater and art can change reality. But for me, in this kind of place like Jenin camp, 1 kilometer square with 20,000 people lives in, for me, it was very important that the Israeli army, when they come and they pass our place, they see there is still a sign, and they know we do theater, because these people believe that we are a savage people. We don't have theaters in Jenin. And for me, like, how stupid, how crazy to think that we as a human in Jenin, we don't have theater. You see how difficult to open the theater. Plus, you have conservatives. We also, we don't have one occupation. We have many different occupations. We have conservatives, we have the education, we have the families, the community, we have the Israeli, we have the PA. Since it's like this kind of situation you work in. And for me, yes, it was difficult. Yes, it is very difficult for someone to live in this kind of situation, to do only theater and art. But I think it's also a gift for me to value what I'm doing, to value and to see the theater are much important than to do a play and entertain people. I think theater is not for entertaining people. It's not to make them satisfied. Theater is to challenge and really make provocative to the community and to people. And when I read about Theater of Oppressed, when I read about Augusto, it's like, for me, I really doubt if all people doing Theater of Oppressed, they really understand why this method come from. And you know, when you do Theater of Oppressed, we work with communities, the areas, people who don't have resources to have a normal life. So for me, yes, it's everyday question, how I can continue, what makes me continue, because with all these difficulties, as an artist, you always have a question, until when I can carry on in these difficulties and not be in a comfortable places. So I believe we are fighters as an artist. I believe we should be fighters. We are not here to please anyone or any regime. We are here to make change. And I think if we put this kind of words in our head, our work, our history, what we try to do, it's really to change the world, to break the rules and be different. And that's very important to keep this kind of things in the thinking of the artist when we create our work.
Yeah. And would you like to tell us when and how the Freedom Theater was founded? Because I think many people doesn't know about this experience.
Yes, I worked as artistic director for the Freedom Theater for the last 5 years, but now we do something even more free. For me, it's very important to keep the freedom even from like organizations, because each organization still has their limitation, their freedom, and we create artists to be artists with the freedom. So actually, the Freedom Theater, when established, it goes back to the history of the first Intifada. And in that time, it was called the Stone Theater, because Palestinians in the first Intifada, we were fighting with the stones. So they called the theater Stone Theater. And I was a little boy in that time, seeing the first play ever in the Stone Theater. And I think that's why I got affected and I became like an actor in theater. But yeah, it's the first Intifada where the education system in Palestine being collapsed. So Arna Mer Khamis, she's a Jewish woman who married to a Palestinian man. She started to come to Jenin camp, paper scholars for the kids. And from that time, she got alternative Nobel Prize. And then in that money, they built a small house for children called the Stone Theater. And from that time, the children grow up. They became freedom fighters in the second Intifada, and most of them get killed. One is still alive called Zakaria Zubeidi. Zakaria Zubeidi become wanted #1 for the Israeli army in West Bank, and they tried to kill him many times. But the good thing with Zakaria, he was believing in the role of theater and art. He was always saying with our also main founders, gun can kill, but gun does not make freedom. You need a culture and art to save this gun and to explain to people why we're using this gun, why we're carrying this gun. We are freedom fighters. We are not terrorists, because the West propaganda, it's easy. Always they're changing the narrative. They showed resistance is terrorist. You have no difference between ISIS, Al-Qaeda, terrorists, Arabs, Muslims. They make one propaganda. But theater, it was very important, theater and art, to explain, no, we are freedom fighters, and the international law save our right as an oppressed community under occupation. We have the right to resist in any way possible. For me, I believe in theater and art, like is the way to fight, to resist. I do not, for me, all the ways is accept, and it should be for the Palestinian to resist in any way they can. But for me, I choose theater and art because I have a different responsibility, because I do not fight for Palestine anymore. I fight for the whole world. And that's what I believe we should fight for: the whole world, for the whole communities, for the whole planet. And for sure, especially artists, I think it's time, as Palestine, it's in a way sacrificing, especially Gaza, for the world to wake up again, to bring back the values, and even artists come back in a different, new energy. Why we doing what we doing? I think we have much more bigger responsibility in these days to address in our forms, in our theaters. Theater should be more powerful, more strong, and I think it's the only way to make change and to embarrass the occupiers, the colonizers, to be, yeah, I'm not peaceful, but theater is not peaceful. And that's what I want to say. We should not think if we do theater, it's peaceful, or we use guns. No, for me, theater is violent as a gun. and that's how it should be.
Is the Freedom Theater still active? And the second question is if you can tell us also something about artists on the front line.
Yes, I think yeah, it's now we talk about Jenin camp. Jenin camp, it's under military control. It's empty. 20,000 being displaced from Jenin camp. Me, I am refugee for the third time in my life, and it was really fascinating. It's like how many times I will be refugee again. We talk about almost now 5 months and 2 months before with the PA, now 5 months with the Israeli army. They completely changing the geography of Jenin camp because they want to work on the identity of the refugees. They don't want to make the refugee camp environment looks anymore as a refugee. They want to open more streets. They want to make it neighborhoods connected to the city. So they change the way we think, because when you grow up in the camp, you grow up with a belief as a refugee, and you're always thinking about the right of return. And for sure, that's what they don't want you as a young Palestinian to grow up thinking that I will return to my house, to my town, to my places that I have been fled from. So Freedom Theater have another place. They're working with another place in the city, but the main theater, it's because it's close to the camp, so it's really close. And for me, after working many times in the Palestinian system, let's say, I discover, to be honest, we as individual artists in Palestine, we don't have rights. We don't have rights in different way. We don't have a very good contracts. We don't have any organization can save the rights of the artist. We don't have organizations fight for female artists who also being censored in somehow, because, you know, in this kind of community, actually actresses not having that much support, and they are not really accepted in a nice way as a female in this kind of communities. So for me, how we can fight for artists, how we can fight for individual artists without they fighting their own names. If you have an illegal contract, if you have an issue with a director or a male director, because, you know, also in Palestine, we have the same problems like any other world. You have a male director who can use his power, use his whatever, and, you know, he can do whatever. And in our kind of conservative community, the female actor cannot go to the court, cannot go talk about the problem. So my experience, I learned a lot. There's a lot of issues in this kind of thing. At the same time, there is a lot of financial also rights for the artist not being saved. So we create this platform to offer a lawyer for any artist he needed. And we fight in the name of the organization or platform, not in a private names. And for sure, we do a lot of work in with youth around the world. We're collaborating in different countries now. We did the last production in Catalonia, and now we are rehearsing. We do a small show in Norway. In August, we will be, inshallah, in Slovenia. And also I collaborate with another small theater in Jenin called Fragments Theater. And for me, that's most important, to make young people travel and see how is the world, to understand how they can reach the international community. I will put the link of Artists on Frontline so you can check, because it has a lot of things there. We have made a 14 demands where people can do, artists, normal people, activists, they can look at these examples, because many people ask us what we can do, how we can do. So we prepare it for you. We made it ready so you can check and go around the website to see because we have workshops, we have some productions, and it would be nice just to check and see if you can relate in the future. I will put Artist in a Frontline link now. Copy. I put it in the Zoom. Where is the chat? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So please check it. Any question also later, you are welcome. And yeah, you can.
Thank you. Grazie, Ahmed. Wow. Very strong speech. Thank you. I would like, before going to Ilaria and Ioana, I would like to ask Nur Shahade to share his experience, and also the experience of his own experience, and the experience of also combatants for peace. So later, maybe with Ilaria and Ioana, we will go on with other considerations, let's say, and question. Thank you, Nur. Go.
I want to ask you if I can speak because I have emergency things. I am now engineer. I want to leave to Karim direct because the Israeli army, they started to demolish my houses. And urgent, I want to leave to Karim.
Absolutely. But if you have to go, go.
If I can speak now, I can speak.
Yes, of course. But if you have to move, please. Don't worry.
I want to speak before that. After when I speak, I will leave to Karim because now I am engineer.
Of course, of course.
And they will start to demolish my houses now.
Yes, please, Nur.
Okay. You need something from Ahmad or I can start?
No, you can. I was asking you if you want to share something about to combatants for peace or your experience.
Okay, I put the website of Combatant for Peace on the message, and you can see everything in the website.
Yes, we can share later also the website of Combatant for Peace.
Yeah. Now I will write the website.
Yeah. Do you want to share with us your experience with this organization or your own experience?
Yeah. Okay, I will share that. Don't worry. What we will do, this is the occupation. They started to demolish houses in Tulkarem camp in the first of the Eid al-Adha. You know what means that for the people?
Yeah, maybe you can explain.
Yeah, that's mean it's Eid for the, in the Muslim, they have just two Eids, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. And when they started to demolish houses in the first day of the Eid, it gave a lot of problems for the people. The people sad, the people don't happy, the people they're waiting the Eid one day in the year, and they started to demolish houses in the camps. It's a lot of problems.
Yeah.
They start to demolish more than 300 houses. In the media, I'm speaking about 58 houses. But the reality, no. The reality, more than 300 houses.
Maybe can you share with the people that are here, where is this area where they are demolishing houses?
Yeah, I can put a video.
Maybe we can share it before. maybe you can just explain us in which area are these houses, because I think that
is near Jenin. It's not
near
far away
Jenin.
from here. Tulkarem and Jenin is in the north of the West Bank. Tulkarem exactly in the border with the Israelian in 1967, and it's in yeah, in the north of the West Bank. It's exactly, this is the area, and they have two camps in Tulkarem, one called Tulkarem camp and the other is Nur Shams camp. And same what happened in Jenin, exactly they do it in Tulkarem and Nur Shams. They demolish, they open high street in the camps. They change a lot of demography in the camps. When I return to my camp, I don't believe this is where I am born, where I am live. Where is the Norway? Where is the places in this camp? They make it new things.
Yeah.
And it's good for me now to do a theater of the opera about these issues. We started to make something in theater about this issue. Because I think in this time, it's very important for all the world to do a theater about the Palestinians issue. To show him the reality, what happened exactly on Palestine, in Gaza, Jenin, Tulkarem, especially.
Yeah.
Because in Tulkarem and Jenin, it's same Gaza, same Gaza. What happened in Gaza, they do it in Tulkarem and Jenin. Killed, demolished houses, a lot of things, terrible things in this area.
And the people, what can they do? They just can escape and try to go to other.
Yeah, nobody in the camp, no one in the camp. Now 25,000 people is displaced. They don't allow for anyone to enter the camp. They don't anyone to go back to his home, to his house. They don't allow for anyone. The camp is empty now. It's same, exactly. Jenin, same Jabalia, same any camps in the Gaza Strip and in West Bank, especially Jenin and Tulkarem.
Yeah. And Noor, maybe I ask you just the last question because I think that you have to go. If you wanna tell us something about Combatants for Peace.
Yes.
What are you doing? Maybe if this organization that is made also by Israeli people is supporting you in Palestine, in West Bank.
Okay. Combatant for Peace is a nationality organization. It's between Palestinian and Israeli people. In the Israeli side, the people who refused to serve in the army, and in Palestine, people who was in the fighting the occupation by violence, and after that, he believed about non-violence. Like me, I was wanted for the Israeli intelligence more than 3 years. They tried to kill me. I was in the Israeli jail many times, and after that, I want to change what I believe, and I take the non-violence resistance is my strategy, and join Combatant for Peace. In 2005, by helping of Luisa Morgantini, I think you know her, we met 10 Palestinian people and 10 Israeli people. We talking together, to working together to end the occupation in Palestine and to building Palestinian state near the Israeli state in 1967. And we starting to working together against the occupation. In 2007, I worked with my friend Khen Alon. I don't know you know her or you know him or not. He's working in theater of the operas. He's he have PhD, and he now working in the university. We started to work in theater of the operas against the occupation. I use the theater by politics because I want to show all the people in the world and in Palestine what the Israeli did against the Palestinian people? What is the reality? And one time we did a theater near a settlement, and the soldiers will be very nervous, and they arrested 2 people from the theater group because they don't like what we are doing against the occupation. And this is what I need. This is what I need. I want to be the soldiers nervous when I did the theater near the settlement or near the checkpoint. Now the situation is very difficult and is different from the past, but we decided to work now with the international people or with the Israeli people, with the Palestinian people, with this kind of theater, because I think theater of the oppressed is better to work it on politics. You can work in politics, in social things, it's okay, because I am a social worker and it touch my heart and touch my what I study in the university. Exactly. I can change many things in my community. It's if I see it bad things, I can change it by this kind of theater, because you know the audience, they can put any things who can think it's right to change the community. And exactly, we're working now on politics against the Israeli occupation, because I think theater of the oppressed is better tools to work in non-violence against the occupation. For the people in Israel or in international people, it's make a touch with the heart of the other people if they saw what we are, if they see what we are doing. Exactly, one time I was with the theater group in London. One of the Jewish women, they nervous and stand up in the stage. They're speaking a lot of words. It's very bad words. I don't want to speak what they are doing. And they told us, all of them, all of theater group is lying. It is not Israel. Israel is not doing that. I asked this woman, tell me what the Israeli army or the Israeli state doing in Palestine. Tell me the reality. We can come to the stage and put what you want to put in this stage. But she left the hall. And I start with Chen alone from 2007 until now. We're working together in Theater of the Oppressed. We did a lot of things near the settlement, near the checkpoints, on the lands the Israeli want to suffocate it. We did a lot of things, but I told you until now we just working in Theater of the Oppressed by politic things, because the situation in Palestine, and I am working with the Israeli, it's not easy to work by social things. I don't want to go to, it's normalization, it's not normalization, it's not okay. I want to continue to work in politics against the occupation. And it's more strong for me and my group to working with the Israeli because it's Israeli. It's not just me. It's just I'm a Palestinian under the occupation. I'm speaking or doing theater against the Israeli occupation. No, I am doing that with my partners Israeli. The Israeli partners, they sharing me, they agree me what I doing against the Israeli government or the Israeli state, what are doing against the Palestinian people or the Palestinian lands or everything in Palestine.
Yeah.
Our job is not easy. It's not easy. We working like the people who walking on the bombing field, because I am working with the Israeli, not Palestinian alone. And it's very sensitive things. We need to be more sensitive how we can working for kind of this theater. And the people working with us, they believe we can do something for the Palestinian people in this kind of theater.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Noor.
Thanks for you.
Thank you. If you have to go, I will share with everybody that is here connected the website of Combatants for Peace. And if you have to go, maybe I can collect some question for you, and I can write you an email so I can put you in contact with the person that wanna maybe talk directly with you, if you agree.
I'm ready for that, but I'm so sorry. This is occupation. The governor of Tulkarem, they call me, and I want to go back to Tulkarem.
Yes,
They arrested my big son, the Israeli army. They arrested my big son. I have some things is not so good.
Yeah. So please go, and I will take the question for you and I will send them to you later. Don't worry.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao,
Noor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Big hug,
Bye.
Noor, from me. Bye.
Thank you
Good
so
luck.
much. Thank you.
Inshallah.
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 Okay, after this really strong testimony of Noor, and if someone of you has been in Palestine, you know that is quite every day like this, not now until ages, maybe Ahmed can confirm it. That is every day like this, every day. Now it's getting worse, but it's every day like this. So it's very difficult for the people to live. And as Ahmed said, they have to survive. They have to focus to stay alive. This is the focus. So I think that maybe I will give also the voice to Joanna, maybe first, if she would like to share with us her perspective about, I mean, theater and rehumanization. And I know that it is not very easy to speak about this after Noor, but anyway, it could be really, really interesting. Joanna recently completed her PhD in politics at University of Edinburgh with a research focused on the relationship between theater and rehumanization. So, Joanna, I give you the floor.
Thank you once again for letting me be part of this seminar. Yeah, it isn't very difficult to come to speak after Noor's testimony, especially since the matter is so urgent. And sometimes words fail, and it's like, what is a PhD or a piece of paper, or what we are doing this work? And sometimes you are wondering if anything that you do actually matters in the face of violence. So just to say, yeah, I'm not so sure exactly at what point in my journey I became fascinated with this term, which is rehumanization. We all know about dehumanization. We heard, sometimes we even experience dehumanization in different forms, and dehumanization is a form of oppression. And so what is rehumanization? So in my even the theater of the oppressed Bowan inspired his methodology from an educator called Freire, and in his book Pedagogy of the Oppressed, he talks about this the importance of to achieve authentic liberation from oppression, we need this process of humanization. He doesn't really mention anything about what humanization entails. But ever since I read his book, and then I read other articles and talked with people, it's like, what exactly is rehumanization? And there are two aspects. I came to my own definition. It's not, it's limited, but this is like something that I managed to narrow it down. One, it means recognizing the dignity of the other, but also redignifying yourself. This shows like the relation, like dignity is it's a relationship with what we have with others. In a way, we need others to recognize our dignity because otherwise our rights won't be respected. On the other hand, we need to respect the dignity of the other because otherwise we create this worldview that devalues human life and rights. But obviously, if we just stop here, then there will be no need for this term of rehumanization, right? We can just talk about redignification and so on. So I came to this other part of rehumanization, which is the acknowledgement of our, like the dark side of humanity and of our shadow selves, which is something that takes a while for us to, let's say, acknowledge because it's quite tough. One side is about acknowledging let's say, the unpleasant parts of our own personality and our capacity to cause harm and to engage in violence. And on the other hand, it means to look at the system that allow us to engage in those violent acts. And also about acknowledging the wrongdoings our community, family, nation, etc., committed against a specific group of people. So it's kind of this. It's about like, in a way, like we need to not to see violence as being exceptional. They are not monsters, those who commit acts of violence or who oppress the others. They are human beings just like us. So that is like something that we need to acknowledge, is something that we all at one point may or may not, like I hope not, but it's like violence is something so tricky to address, but this is why it's so important that dehumanization is not about like all that everyone being friends, or it's not necessarily about reconciliation and forgiveness and so on. It's actually acknowledging that we have this capacity and what can we do in order to fight that capacity and how we can challenge the systems that pushes us into committing these acts of violence or of harm or of oppression towards the others. And how can also we can protect ourselves from oppression and harm? How can we challenge that back? So this is just, let's say, a very brief summary. In my thesis, I talk also about more mainstream forms of theater. But here, because it's the seminar is about the theater of the oppressed, in my research, I focused on the work that Noor and Hen did in the village of Shufa, and I watched the recordings and the testimonies of the people who were part of that action, and it's what I found out is quite fascinating in the sense that combatants for peace, they realize that they cannot simply take the theater of the oppressed and apply it as it is in their context. So they develop this polarized model of the theater of the oppressed, which means it's about also acknowledgement of the asymmetric power relationship between the two groups, which is very important because far too often when we say like, oh, we should just bring people together and everything is going to be fine, we find, well, in certain cases it may work, but when the oppression reach like really high levels and then the power relationships are not equal, you cannot just expect people to just come together. We need to acknowledge that. So this is something that is a bit different because usually theater of the oppressed, gathers together people who, let's say, suffer through similar forms of oppression, either, for instance, domestic violence or discrimination or bullying, if you look at like children in schools. So although their experience, individual experience is different, it's kind of like an umbrella. So it's more challenging when you bring people who, let's say, like may see the others being the enemy and the evil. So how can you bring those groups? In what kind of circumstances? What is important from what I read and from the testimonies is that they work first with like Palestinian groups work together with like only with Palestinians, and then Israelis only with Israelis, and only those people who want to move on and they will feel like they can move to the next step, they will organize this by national meetings. So this is not forced. You need to go to like contact the other straight on. So they acknowledge that. So this is something that I thought it was interesting and something that we need to think more often. But for the specific performance that they did in Shufa, it's a forum theater play. So this binational group met and they performed a play, based on the testimony of one person in the group, which was about a Palestinian grandfather recently released from the hospital. He wanted to go back to his village and he was held by two of his grandsons, but at one point they were stopped and they cannot cross because of the roadblock. And then the soldiers came and they weren't letting them pass through. So they had to just take a very long detour. And they performed this piece at the roadblock in Shufa, surrounded by actual soldiers. And then in the forum theater, the group performs the play once, and then they perform it the second time, and the second time the audience can intervene and they can, usually in the classical, let's say mainstream theater of the oppressed forum theater, usually only the protagonist is replaced, but in the combatants for peace polarized model, usually audience members can replace any character that is on stage. So there were a few interventions and they were quite interesting in what these people did when they intervened. One, there was a Palestinian who intervened and replaced one of the grandfather's grandsons, and he cited fighting back to the soldier. Obviously, things didn't went well. It was a further escalation. And when the facilitator, the joker, asked him, like, why did you do that? And he said, like, I know this wouldn't have solved my situation or helped the situation in the play, but at least I restored my pride. And this comes a dilemma to what it's like, how can, the dilemma about how can one preserve their own dignity when nonviolent actions seem to fail, but also obviously because another way violent action only contributes to further dehumanization and you become trapped in the ongoing circle of violence. So how can you restore your own dignity in face of the oppression, and doing that through nonviolent means? So yeah, it's a dilemma that this intervention created. There were two other interventions done by two Israeli ladies. One of them, she replaced the same grandson, but instead of fighting back, she started begging and pleading with the soldier, please let us pass. Obviously that didn't help, and that also showed like the limitation of like how you can engage with like becoming the other when you do the performance, because it's just by pleading, you just acknowledge the status quo. You acknowledge that the people need to beg just for their rights, which is not right. So you like through this intervention, she didn't seem to challenge the status quo or to show like a progress. The other lady replaced one of the soldiers who tried to convince the higher ranking officer to just let them pass, obviously. And it's very interesting that audience members, both Palestinian audience members and the Israelis, they didn't find that realistic. And it's very, I couldn't find out because it's many people who are part of the group. It's really hard to track the audience. So I don't really know why they didn't find it realistic. Perhaps because when on the Palestinian side, from their own experience and facing the roadblocks and the occupation, it's they didn't encounter someone that like from the other side to challenge and to speak on their behalf, maybe, or like from the Israeli side is sometimes they know the repercussions they may face if they challenge the authority. So that's my presumptions. I don't know why they found it unrealistic, but it says. So in the sense of how this relate to the rehumanization, it's interesting that in the sense that through this intervention, it shows that actually none of the people who intervened managed to rehumanize the other because they acted on the same presumptions. So they didn't challenge their own assumptions about the other. They just performed it from their own experience, which is quite different from the group who actually managed to work together and create the play. So I think in my conclusion, I'm saying that obviously just reforming and taking a stand, you challenge something maybe, and you become exposed, and because people are challenging, they will ask you, why did you do that? Why did you didn't do that? Maybe this will make you question your own assumptions. But I think the greatest opportunity that Theater of the Oppressed and Forum Theater can give to the others is through the pre-performance, to all the games and activities that people do before putting together a performance. And that has something to do because people need to feel not necessarily safe, but confident enough to express their own selves on stage, and exposing their own vulnerabilities or expressing their own thoughts. Whereas sometimes it's difficult, even if we don't work in very difficult scenarios. Even when I did my training in Theater of the Oppressed and Forum Theater, there were audience, not only participants who had to go because they become overwhelmed by strong emotions and feelings, and he couldn't, and they couldn't keep on going, and they had to stop from performing, or intervening in the play. So it's important to consider that theater can be, as Ahmed said earlier, can be very uncomfortable. And sometimes it's important to what extent we become comfortable with this being uncomfortable. So to what extent do we allow ourselves to become uncomfortable? And obviously this differs from person to person. There are other things like gender dynamics, age, and so on that may have to play. For instance, young people may be more willing to express themselves. So yeah, again, it's very different and it's very complex. It's a very big topic, and I just gave you a little summary of everything. I will just let Ilaria or Julia to continue, and obviously more time for anyone in the audience who would like to ask questions, and that would be great. Thank you.
Grazie, Ioana. Thank you. And of course, if you want to also share link documents that you think are interesting, please do it in the chat or send it to me. I will send it to the audience as you prefer. And yes, I will ask, I know that Ilaria would like to share a brief video. I don't know if you still have this idea, Ilaria?
Let's see, because
Okay.
yeah, mostly the video that I wanted to share is the Forum Theater that Ioana spoke about. So yeah, maybe I
You are
start and then we.
co-host, so you can do it.
Okay, I start and then we see if it's the case to share it or just to put a link in the chat. Okay.
Okay, as you want.
So yeah, I want to say, first of all, thank you for contacting me and reach out to me. And I feel to be the bridge because, first of all, we tried to reach out and alone that I had the opportunity to meet in person many years ago, and I'm in contact with him recently. And then I thought about Noor Shehada, that I was in his house, so it was tough for me know about the demolition of this house. And then just few days ago, I was with Ioana in a conference in Edinburgh, at the University of Edinburgh. We met in another conference, and I thought, wow, she just did this PhD, and it's great to invite her. So yeah, I feel to connect some threads, and more than say about my professionality, I want to say a bit about my positionality, because Palestine, Israel is something that really has this symbolic also power, and yeah, this reaches us in a very peculiar way. And I want to say I'm Italian, uncomfortably Italian, I need to say. And my partner is Israeli. He is part of Combatants for Peace, and my daughters, they have a Jewish surname. I was in Galilee on 7 October, and when I came back, I was devastated because I felt that this time was even, I felt something like something is going to happen, that it's, yeah, unbearable. And it is. So I was in contact with Hannah Lone, and I was sharing some thoughts also about hopelessness. And then from that email, it emerged the possibility to have a conversation and an interview. So I interviewed Hannah Lone and Suleiman Khatib. They are two of the co-founders of Combatants for Peace. And from then, I interviewed also the co-directors, the two female co-directors of Combatants for Peace. They have always one Israeli and one Palestinian. And now the co-directors are Rana Salman, she's Palestinian from Ramallah, and Esther Kourani, that is Israeli. And we had another interview, and from that interview, Daniela Betsy, that I saw also, she's here, she had this great idea to have the transcription of the interviews, to collect materials, and very quickly she collect all the materials and transform all the materials in a book, an Eastern book, and this is the first Italian book about Combatants for Peace. And this is called Combatants for Peace, Israeli and Palestinians verso la liberazione collettiva, toward collective liberation. And I liked so much this expression, collective liberation. And what I feel to to delve into is what was saying Noor. He was just mentioning it, but I think it's important to say it and to have this also tough conversation. You know, Joanna was saying about the need to transform theater of the oppressed into a polarized model, so that communities that are, you know, they can see it as oppressors and oppressed, they can work together. And what does it mean? And so here the issue of normalization and this accusation of normalization, what does it mean, normalization? In Arabic, it's tatbiya, and it means if you, Israelis and Palestinians, you are working together, so you are like normalizing the status quo. This is the accusation. What I think is that if you are working together and let's say to do theater together just for entertainment, yeah, maybe you are normalizing something wrong. But if you are doing theater together and you are against the occupation and you are co-resisting occupation together, this is exactly opposing normalization and challenging the status quo. And I want to quote also what Rana Salman, the co-director of Combatants for Peace, was saying. It's not normalization because we challenge the status quo, because we are, you know, it was from ex-combatants from the two sides, but now also young people are joining. It's not just for ex-combatants. And also Rula Dawood, that is the co-director of Standing Together, that is a grassroots movement that it's yeah, protesting in these last months a lot in Tel Aviv, and just this weekend they were marching to the border of Gaza, and they are together, Jews and Arabs, or yeah, the categories you can choose how to name them. But
yeah, but sorry, there are a lot of mix with what you're saying, because if we cannot be specific in the names and the words, then we're gonna lose again of 80 years of narrative. I think I'm not agreeing about what you're saying. I'm not agreeing at all. There is a different, it should be different explanation. And yes, I'm saying it again. Israelis working with Palestinians, it's a big normalization. Unless we finish the occupation first, unless we are equal first, and then we can work and do together whatever. But now, I think it's a very big point, and I do not trust both of these two sides if they work together in this situation. For me, I believe there is a good people in whatever Israel, they want to finish the occupation, but first do theater in Tel Aviv, make oppressed theater in Tel Aviv in front of Netanyahu, and then we free Palestine. And I don't care what you call it later, but first, if we are not equal, if we are having the same rights, if we don't have the same opportunity, and it's, for me, it's too crazy. An Israeli doing oppressed theater, it's already handicapped, it's already unaccepted, it's already wrong. I think first you have to be a human being to do theater. I don't believe there is an artist in Israel, because artists will not accept what is going on. There is 80 years of oppression, 80 years of deleting our identity. There is 80 years of deleting us as a human being. And then one Israeli gonna work with a Palestinian to do theater of oppressed. First, you have to destroy the wall. First, you have to end the occupation. And then I will welcome you. I will come to Tel Aviv to work with you, but not before that. As an artist, you have a responsibility to talk about your corruption as an Israelis, and please make difference between Jewish and Israelis. Jewish people are our friends. Jewish people are normal people who stand with Palestine, and they know what it means to be under occupation. But Israeli, sorry, Israeli, they electing Netanyahu. Israeli, they are the soldiers who kill people in Gaza. Israeli, they are all received soldiers in the Israeli army. And then when you come to normal situation, you're gonna go to be an artist and work for theater. I'm not accepting this at all as a Palestinian artist. The genocide in Palestine is not only for land. The genocide in Palestine is for artists, for art, for culture, for identity, for history. So if you arrive to be a human being, if you are ready to give up your Israeli terrorist identity as a soldiers, you know, all of that, they serve in the army, then I can come to you as a human being, but not before that. How you are an Israeli artist and you still do nothing about what is going on in Gaza? Guys, it's normalization. We are not equal, and this will not be accepted. And for me, that's the way the Israelis want to present themselves to the world. They are a human being. For me, as long as you are Israeli, you are not a human being. You are a monster, and you're not only destroying Palestine and Palestinians, you're destroying the whole world. So I'm sorry, Julia, but for me, I have to make this speech because I'm not accepting. It's wrong, and I will not even participate in anything, promote this idea, because even the people who promoted, I think they have also issues. I do not believe if you understand the theater of oppressed can even suggest this idea. Somebody is killing me and they put their feet in my neck and you ask me to collaborate. This is not collaboration. This is not standing against occupation. For me, there is a lot of big, and that's why we lost for 80 years, because our narrative wasn't in the right way. And all these people who try to make peace and they try to invent a new way to finish the conflict is not a conflict. Is an 80 years of violent occupation killing us every day. And you ask me to do a theater with an Israeli? No way. Sorry for that. But you, as also a human being, do theater and research on theater of oppressed, you should know oppressors cannot be with the oppressed people to do theater. And for me, I'm really in shock. Even there is people suggest even this idea. So I'm not accepting, and I'm sorry, I cannot even be part of this kind of discussion if it's going to suggest us to work together in this way. Thank you very much.
No, I think it's interesting for Ahmed.
Yeah, can I say something? I agree with
I really
you,
think that we
Ahmed.
need to respect what just Tobias have said, Tobasis. And I really
No, sorry. Stop,
Say
because
something because I was interrupted. I cannot say something.
Yes, I would like just to say
interrupted.
one second that this is why I think it's interesting that Ahmed is here. This is interesting that I don't know what Ilaria was saying, so maybe also it's important to listen. So thank you, Ahmed, for your statement. I think it's important if you stay. It's really the topic, I think. So of the point. So maybe Ilaria, you can of course go on, and then we can go on with the discussion because it's the topic, I think.
Absolutely. And I say, because Noor was saying this about normalization, but then it passed away. And I agree with you, Ahmed. It seems absurd, but I agree with you. But just maybe for me, there is this, maybe it seems so thin, the difference. It's just a crack, but that it can become a portal, because the difference is Israelis that are soldiers, that are not refusing to be a soldier, that are there and are oppressing people, and all you were saying, but there are Israelis that are refusing occupation and are refusing to go to army. And I think that not only ethically, but strategically, it's something to consider. And I know that it can be, I want to make this tough conversation, because what we really need is to have space for this tough conversation. Because otherwise, what we are doing, right? You were saying about theater that it needs to be provocative, and I agree with you. 100% agree with you, and also you were saying something about that needs to be uncomfortable, and you were saying about Arna that was Jewish, right? I'm not saying about normalizing the thing and everything is okay and this idea of peace, we are together and everything is okay. No, I'm saying, I want to say again, let's consider this not collaboration, but as Combatants for Peace say, co-resistance. That is another kind of thing. It's not collaborating, and I want to hear from you, because really I want to listen with open heart, open mind, open will. I'm here to listen to you.
For me, please, it's always about how we articulate things. The Israeli occupation been cheating us in our own languages, in our own culture. So listen to me what I'm saying. If you are honest Israeli and you want to finish the occupation, first you have to do work in your own community, in your own country. And then I will, as a Palestinian, I will cross the checkpoints, I will climb the wall, and I will come to Tel Aviv to perform with you, but not before that. And as I know in my experience, I worked in theater, international, it's a very dangerous what the Israelis do. They try to promote themselves as a peacemakers. There is Israelis peacemakers. And for me, no, there is no Israeli peacemakers if you directly asking to work with Palestinians. My friend, if you are an Israeli and you believe in Finnish occupation, start in Israel, start in Tel Aviv, start in the army. That's the problem when you don't know reality. You said you was in Palestine and the occupation, we suffocating. They rape us every day. They rape the children. They rape the mothers. If you look at Gaza, what still does not happen that make you even mention Israel? For me, as I said, I am fighting not only for Palestine. I'm fighting for the whole world. This white colonization, the economical occupation, what is going on, it will not be Palestine. It will go on. And they always find the ways to change the narrative. They always find the ways to cheat us. But we say, and I say it again, we as a Palestinian, we took the responsibility to make this world wake up, to make this world know what is history, to make this world analyze how these oppressors manage every time to cheat us and make us forget what is going on every time. My friend, this is a circle of occupation, of colonization. Palestine, Ukraine, the colonization is not far away from Europe. It's gonna come to you in Europe, and you will have this sooner or later. My responsibility as a Palestinian, as a one who lived war. I born in war. I lived in war. I lost my friends in war. And I am the most one who asking for peace. I am the most one who believe in peace, who believe in changing for non-violent world, destroying, closing the gun factories. That's what we will focus. If the Israelis are really ready to take this responsibility, I will stand with them. But the Israelis have one plan. The Israelis have one goal: to displace Palestinians from Palestine, to take Palestine all for the big dream. And I'm telling you, do not mix Jewish with Israelis and Zionists. Jewish people are normal people. Arna Mer Khamis, she's Jewish. She stopped serving in the army. She came to Jenin camp by herself with the Palestinian kufiya. She married a Palestinian man. She brought 3 children, Palestinian children, and she believed in the right of Palestinians. She worked alone in Jenin. She didn't collaborate or waited any Palestinian to be with her. But with my experience, now Israelis, they are sick to get Nobel Prize. So that's why always I don't trust any Israeli, because that's what they want. They want to promote, they are a peacemakers. And for me, again, you are not a human being as an Israeli until you stand up against the occupation. And you know what? All the Israeli soldiers who admit when they become 80 or 70 before they die, they admit they did something wrong in the past. But it's too late, my friend. It's too late. It's too late for any Israeli to promote himself as a peacemaker. We done we are in the end of the fight, and I believe even we want to say, guys, we did what the best we can do to show you reality, to show you the truth. But that's the problem of the white European mentality. You guys are in shock. You are in shock and you don't know what to do against what is going on online genocide. You're teaching us democracy. You're teaching us how to deal with women and children. You teach us how to elect our dictatorships. You teach us how to collaborate. You teach us all these values, and then you crashed in your own values. And for me, I will keep theater is the most valuable thing in my life, and I will not let the Israelis destroy my beliefs. Theater is much value to collaborate with an Israeli unless they're not standing very clear in their own community to finish the occupation and close the army and close the gun factories in Israel. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'm talking exactly about this kind of Israelis that maybe it's difficult to think that they exist, but they exist and they are clearly stand against occupation, and they are called traitors in their own community because they are working with Israeli, you know, that they justify all the horrible things that are happening. So, and I want to step back a little bit because as Italians, I want also to invite us, because there are many Italians, I think, to think about something in our society that is happening. And for me, there are a lot of analogies of what is happening in other parts of the world. And this is how we Italians, we are dealing with immigration. What is happening in the centri di accoglienza or worse, centri that they are building in Albania? What is happening? What we Italians are allowing to happen, and how? And there is this question also, and I want to hear from people that are working with Theatre of the Press how we use Theatre of the Press when, you know, there are people that comes from the communities that have, as Joanna was saying, asymmetric power. So, for example, Italians and refugees, or Italians and asylum seekers. How we work together? We can work together or not? And how? And for what? So, yeah, I want to hear from the people.
No, it's different. What Ahmed was saying is different from this question, Ilaria. I mean, it's a different subject in a way. Yes, we know all the contradictions we have in Italy with migrants, and we have been migrant and Roma families, Roma children. But it's a bit different. I mean, Ahmed was bringing forth this issue that cannot be ignored. I mean, it cannot be bypassed. You know, when he says you do theater in Tel Aviv. That's the main point. I mean, we cannot bypass this, what he said. I mean, we cannot talk about migrants in Italy now because it's a different story. That's what I feel. We have just to acknowledge, I think, we have just to acknowledge what he said. Just acknowledging.
I will say one sentence. I don't get it. Like, how it's gonna be the theater of oppressed if the oppressor gonna do theater with me? I just don't get it. Sorry.
I think that we just need to acknowledge what Ahmed said, listening to it as deeply as we can, and after we can try to work on it in ourselves. I think that's the only thing we could do in this moment, just listening to him as deeply as we can. Thank you. There's no, Ilaria, there's no, we don't have to justify, we don't have to find something to, it was not humiliating you, absolutely. It was just bringing forth his issue. And we just have to acknowledge it. It's a kind of just listening, only that. Thank you very much to all of you, to Ilaria, to Ahmed, to Joanna. It has been really, really very formative, this meeting. I'm learning a lot, and I really thank you.
No, I mean, I hope you not, I'm sure you're already a professional people, and I speak from passion, I speak from myself, my beliefs. So I am also not shy to be passionate of what I believe, but I think theater comes to these people who don't have much choices, and they find the only choice is theater to express themselves. If we mix it with all this politics, then we lose why it comes. And especially theater of oppressed is very clear where it comes from, when it comes from, how it happened, which kind of form. And then for me, I'm so conservative to not let anyone change the way and the meaning of theater of oppressed. Theater of oppressed is for people who are under oppression, under colonization, under occupation, and that's the only way, that's the only tool we can fight back. We don't have guns, we don't have bombs, we're not allowed to use drones, we cannot use anything. The only thing left for us is theater of oppressed, and even they want to steal that from us. So I am a fighter for a theater of oppressed to not give up and let the oppressors get it and change it, because that's the only way I can fight for myself and in future for any other community to fight against oppression. Thank you very much for giving me this space.
Thank you, Ahmed. And I want just to say to Teresa, I don't want to be interpreted in my emotions, because I was very clear. I was listening to Ahmed with open heart, open mind, open will, and I wasn't justified. I'm unapologetic on this, and I was just saying we need to have this tough conversation, even if it's painful for me, for Ahmed, for everybody. But please don't interpret emotions of others.
No, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, I wasn't interpreting anything. I was just saying that we sometimes we don't have to not even answer, Sometimes we have just to listen.
Okay, I would like to say one sentence just.
1 second,
Roberto,
there was Joanna, that she was trying to say something since
okay, sorry.
minute.
Thank you so much. Just like a small clarification, if people didn't understand from whatever I like my presentation, I'm not advocating for anything. I just far too often in the literature we have like in the literature of peace and peace, conflict studies, international relations, etc. You have like two debates. One that just takes art out of context, thinks that is an extra, that is not necessarily needed, and so on. And we have that different side that over-romanicize or says like, look, art is always beautiful and we'll just be together and so on. And it's, yeah, so sometimes, not all of the people who are working are doing that, but there is quite a lot of literature on these two parts, let's say. So I was fascinated by this concept of rehumanization, and I was fascinated by to what extent can art, because most of research, it tells like art can work in these ways, but they don't talk about the process, like what happens exactly in theater when people are doing theater, and this is how I came about. So I'm not advocating for anything, and I know there is the problem with like normalization, and the problem with like in certain cases with cultural appropriation. To what extent it's okay to use the stories of others when you are not from that particular community. I'm also an outsider, so I'm not saying much, but I will just look at the specific processes of theater to what it can work. It can work in the sense not to bring anything, just like how theater works in itself. If it's clear, just like if people didn't understand that from what I was saying. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Roberto?
Yes, briefly. As practitioner, I was challenged by the discussion because it's also remind to me what happens in the movement of Theatre de Presse. Now, there are different opinions. We have to recognize that we have different standing point, different position in politics and the issues. And also one thing that for me is very crucial is the distinction between oppression and misunderstanding, because sometimes it seems to me that some practitioners thinks that all the problems are misunderstanding, while in my opinion there is situations where there is oppression, the imbalance of power, and there are situations where the power is more or less the same, and people maybe the problem is misunderstanding. But misunderstanding is one thing, oppression is another thing. So I stress the idea that Theatre de Presse has to do with oppression, not misunderstanding. This is my point of view. But thanks to all, because the debate is rich, and as far as we have a real and true debate, I think we improve our practice. So thank you to all.
Yes, this is the real topic. So, wow. I don't know if anyone from the audience would like to make some questions or to make say something. We don't have, it's already 7:30, so I don't know if someone would like to say something. Okay, maybe not.
I
And
would perhaps
say-
say that
yes,
I am
Teresa.
thankful. I am very thankful for the passion. I needed it. I come from a mixed background. I grew up with Italians in Casa d'Italia that were welcome in Venezuela when they were not received in Europe. And I have also seen the need of transgenerational working in trauma and how the theater can help through that, because one thing is to see oneself as a spectator or as an actor, and another is, I think, what is happening right now and seeing the tools that we have available and how we can foster this. So I'm very thankful that this space was happening, that this emotional was put, that everybody was contributing. Coincidentally, I was writing about Theater that Reconnects from Uri and David Diamond, Theater of Living, and Hector Aristizábal, Theater Ritual. There are three. They were trained also by Augusto Boal. And I took a book that Armin, because I'm in Austria right now and in Innsbruck, and Armin, who brought David Diamond here, gave it to me. And I was gonna read through an example of this, what it was happening. And then I saw the name Ilaria and Uri in the book. And I was like touched. I was saying, wow, how the universe actually is working to facilitate that we can be right now, even with this technology that is persecuting us, even with this momentum, that we can be seen, feel, and hear, and that we can contribute with our also inputs and critics to the methods, because there are many, we have many perspectives. So thank you very much. And thank you, Julia, for holding this and guiding this space.
Thank you.
If I have also a little bit to comment, guys, I want you to understand, like, that's what I mean. When you do theater of oppressed, if you don't know what means to be under oppression, then how you gonna make theater of oppressed? And I'm telling you, Palestinian people, Palestinian kids, we know one Israeli. The only Israeli we know is the soldier who come to our houses in the night to destroy our houses, to arrest our families. I promise you, the only Israeli I met in my life, the only Israeli I saw in my life, it's the Israeli soldier who arrested my father, who killed my friends, who destroyed my camp every day, who let me live this kind of life. There is no one else. There is no place in this earth have the occupation that do what it does as the Israeli occupation. So for me, I never met a human being as Israeli. I never talked to a normal Israeli. The only Israeli we know is the Israeli soldier. Do you want me to do theater of a breast with Israeli soldiers? Thank you.
This is a good question. Thank you, Ahmed. And personally, I lived in Palestine, so I'm feeling what you are saying, because I think that also if you have never been there, it's very difficult really to feel what Palestinians are feeling. Geographically, emotionally, it's everybody must go
but
there, I think.
I'm really sorry, because that's what I'm talking about. Articulate things. It's not because I'm only Palestinian, because I'm Palestinian only, that what makes me have this kind of opinion. No, I am also against to have a black people talking about black history, doing theater of breast with the French director directing them to do a theater of breast. You see what I mean? So it's not because I'm Palestinian. I'm against what is happening in South America, in Afghanistan. You cannot bring an actors of Afghanistan and then bring American director or company to do theater of breast in Afghanistan. That doesn't work. So I hope you understand me. There is a history, there is a way, there is a label, there is politics. We need to know before we start suggestion ideas. And for me, guys, it's very important to look that if we don't understand where this comes from, we cannot just suggest a romantic ideas to bring people together. We are not in heaven. We are not in a perfect world. We are a very complicated, the world on fire in Ukraine. Do you agree to bring a Russian people to talk about theater or breast in Ukraine? It's the same.
Yeah, I would like to maybe to ask Roberto to close the session. And I don't know if Ahmed, did you already share the link of yes, I think maybe. Yeah. Okay. If anyone want to know something more about Ahmed and to be in contact with artists on the front line, there is the link on the chat. I can send it again also. And I ask Roberto to close, and I really thank you very much. I hope to find other spaces to have this kind of discussion, because it's important.
Yeah, Julia, you have said what I would like. I would have liked to say. So I think your closing is perfect. So thank you to everybody, and I hope to see you again to go deeper in this discussion, but also to practice together. Okay.
Free Palestine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Thank you, Ilaria. Thank you, Julia. Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.